What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 24 of the Rolling Over 40 podcast. My guest today is Mr. Vince Pacleb. Vince is a 49-year-old brown belt who has been training martial arts for almost 20 years. And Vince also has his own podcast called the Bizjitsu Podcast, where he talks to people who are practitioners of jiu-jitsu who are also entrepreneurs. It is a great podcast, and you should check it out. Again, it's called the Bizjitsu Podcast. So without further ado, please enjoy this episode with Vince Pacleb. How long have you been doing Bizjitsu?
Bizjitsu started in 2023, so we were recording pretty strong for about 2 years. And then we've taken a little hiatus, so we've been a bit dormant the past few months. But it's unique that you reached out because we're preparing to come back online. So appreciate that. Really?
Oh, that's great to hear. Do you already have some guests lined up?
Working on that. We're putting together the all-star cast of the folks that have been on, that have we built some great relationships with, and we're gonna bring them back on to get some things moving. So.
Oh, really? So it's going to be, so you're going to start with some guests that you've already had rather than new guests?
Previous guests, yeah.
Okay.
The next lineup will be folks that we've recorded with in the past.
Okay.
And then we'll start to add. So, yeah.
Okay. And how did you guys get the idea for a podcast about jiu-jitsu practitioners who are also entrepreneurs?
Great question. So it was a random idea. So I used to have a old Toyota Tacoma, and I went to go get it serviced.
It's a funny way to start the story.
I know.
Toyota Tacoma. Okay.
Had an old Toyota Tacoma. I went to go get it serviced, and at the car dealership, they were trying to hit me for $1,900 for a service. Right. So I was like,
okay.
That seems kind of strange.
That's
seems
high.
A bit heavy.
Yeah, that's steep.
Yeah, that's a lot. So, long story short, I said, hey, you know what? Not right now. Just hang back. Took my car, left, and went home, and I started looking for a mechanic. And what I found on review sites is you get like polarizing views. You get really, really good. On the same service provider, you get really, really bad. So I was like, it's super strange. So I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. Long story short is I had this random idea that, man, you know what? If I knew somebody that was a mechanic, I would just give them my business. And then that turned into, man, if I knew someone that did jiu-jitsu, that was a mechanic, 100% they're going to get my business. Right? So that idea came to mind, and it just would not go away. And one afternoon I was writing a bunch of things out saying, what is this? I'm not 100% sure. And the word business, the word jiu-jitsu, it turned into Bizjitsu, and I wrote that down. I'm like, I wonder what that is, right? So I searched online, bizjitsu.com. Right? I was like, okay, the domain's available. Boom, bought it, and then that was the start of it, right? The goal was to create a network and just be able to speak with people that do jiu-jitsu that own businesses. My family, we grew up, or I shouldn't say, my family, my father. I had small business growing up, and my parents are immigrants. So growing up in an immigrant household that was built around a small business, it's always been kind of part of my DNA. So that was kind of the spirit of Bizjitsu.
Okay, so parents are immigrants, and your father own a business. So from where? Where did your family immigrate from, and what was the business your dad had?
We're in the Philippines. My family's from the Philippines. My dad's had all kinds of different businesses. So he had an import-export business. They sell a bunch of different buy and sell products. At a gas station, Texaco gas station back in the day. But where a majority of his time was spent was opening up flower shops throughout a little suburb in Los Angeles called Carson and Torrance. And that was the spirit of it.
I see. That's awesome. So immigrants from the Philippines. Do you speak Tagalog?
Kaunti lang.
I'll take that as a yes, but okay, I guess that means a tiny bit. All right.
Yeah, it does mean a tiny bit. I was born and raised here, and I'd like to think that I can speak Tagalog. Unfortunately, I can't fluidly. I can definitely understand it, and I do have some phrases where I can respond in an appropriate way. So
Okay. So, but you were already doing jiu-jitsu at the time when you had the idea for the Bizjitsu podcast and everything. You were already training?
correct. Yeah, I was already a purple belt at the time.
Okay. So, how many years have you been training so far?
Consistently, I came back on the mats in 2000.
Okay.
And I've been training. Actually, no. It was 2018 when I fully came back. And then the pandemic happened. And prior to the pandemic, I had shoulder surgery.
Oh man.
Yeah. So right after pandemic, so it was actually still kind of pandemic was still happening, but it was like the end of 2020 is when I got back on the mat, and I haven't turned away since. But my first initial time on the mat was probably, I mean, it would have been 2005, 2006, something like that. That was the first time I was ever on a mat.
That's when the journey started, was way back in 05.
Yes. Yeah. So it started in no-gi. So kind of a long story short is I used to own an LA Boxing here in Orange County. And during that time frame, I had this idea of like, hey, you know what? We should put in a grappling program. And I had a guy, Nick Lorario, who was my first initial jiu-jitsu coach. He taught a no-gi program there, and we didn't have any students. So I was, myself and a couple of others were his first students. And that was really it. I did it just more out of curiosity and recreationally. When I got out of that business, there was a short portion there where I spent some time with Guion in La Habra, training at Leo Vera's place in the early days of Leo, when there was still Team Brasa. And then I eventually ended up training at a couple of different places. But anyways, that was my initial journey.
Okay, so you were boxing before you were training jiu-jitsu?
Yes. Yeah. So my path into martial arts was, I had a career in the mortgage industry. I was a young dad, and like many young dads, I get involved in a career early on, put on a bunch of weight, and I was looking, I was looking for a way to kind of get back on track with just my overall health and wellness and fitness. Did the whole gym thing. That didn't quite work out. And then I got introduced to martial arts. So I started at a small academy in Orange County called OC Kickboxing.
Okay.
And it was foundationally, it was a JKD school that had a Muay Thai program. And I started doing that. I did that for probably about a year and a half, 2 years. And then during that time, I was in the mortgage industry, and it was flourishing. And I had this random idea of like, man, I think I want to do this as a business. And I ended up opening LA Boxing.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, but you were training Muay Thai boxing, I mean, pretty regularly. And this was the 2000s?
Correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so the jiu-jitsu started when you decided, let's add this grappling program. And did you take to it right away? Were you like, oh, wow, I like this. This is interesting. This is different. This is fun.
Yes. Yeah. I took to it right away. I just didn't fully understand the path. Hey, it was fun to jump into class and learn a couple things. But I didn't fully, it didn't fully hit me as far as like, oh, okay, hey, there's a never ending pursuit of knowledge. And that part never really kind of came together at the time. It was just, I'll jump into class and it was fun. And that was kind of the extent of it.
I see. And I mean, and this was early too. This was the 2000s. So obviously jiu-jitsu was not then what it is now. And, but you don't, so I take it you don't own a gym anymore?
No.
Okay. And why not? Like what happened to that business?
So during that time frame, I had a business partner, and I realized, so I'll kind of, so I was in the mortgage industry 2000 to 2008. So when the big economic bust happened,
right,
in 2008, and the bubble bursted, I had to make a decision of what I wanted to do. And my decision was I stay in the mortgage industry, which I did not want to do. I go be a firefighter, or I go into fitness full time. So I still had the LA boxing. And I realized that if I was going to go into fitness full time, that myself and my partner were taking different paths in the fitness industry, and said, you know what, I need to separate here, and I'm going to go all into the fitness business. So I ended up working for the UFC gym.
Ah, yeah.
In the early days. I mean, there's only 2 locations that when I had got started with them, and I was with them for 8-9 years, and then eventually left back in whatever that was, 2018, something like that.
Okay. 2018. Okay. And then you said 2018 is when you got back into jiu-jitsu.
Correct.
Okay. And then the pandemic hit, and so during the pandemic, I assume you were not doing too much training, like most people weren't, or were you finding a way to train during the pandemic?
No, I was recovering from an injury.
Oh, the shoulder surgery was that time. Okay. And
Correct.
did that happen from training?
Yes.
So what, can you take us through it? Tell us how that injury happened.
It wasn't an actual like event. It was one day I came back from jiu-jitsu and I had a sore shoulder, and like most ambitious blue belts, I went back and started training again, and my shoulder was bugging me, and I just continued to train on it, and eventually it just got progressively worse and worse. If I tie it back to a specific time frame, during the time frame when my initial shoulder was hurting, it was a time when we were working omoplatas.
Ah, yeah.
And at the time, I was training at Mauricio Chinguina's out in Anaheim, and the way that he teaches, like many experienced professors, you'll teach a series over an extended period of time that has a centralized theme.
Yes.
And that centralized theme was around omoplatas, and again, it was one of those scenarios where a lot of shoulder wear and tear, lifting weights for a long time, boxing, Muay Thai, you couple that with age and probably not the best care of my mobility and all the things that come along with that, and then the other part of it too is I was just extremely stubborn. So I just thought I was sore and I could muscle my way through it, and eventually got to a point where range of motion was, completely wrecked, and it just got to a point where I couldn't do anything. And
oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez, you really pushed it.
Yeah. Well, the irony behind that is, it also took forever to get the surgery. So,
okay.
My, just not just my insurance, but anytime you go through insurance, it's okay. Hey, they want to prescribe you medication. They want you to try physical therapy.
It's a process.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You did the whole thing, right? So you did, cortisone shots. I mean, literally all the things that come along with that.
Oh, you did all that. And so, okay. I mean, but none of that worked, and you eventually had to get the surgery. So what was the surgery that you had done?
So it was, posterior anterior of my labrum.
I was going to say labrum. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when they opened me up, there was, some detachment to my bicep. So they just, while they were in there, just clipped it and attached the bicep. So
detachment of the bicep. My God. Okay. That just sounds so uncomfortable. And
Yeah,
omoplatas. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, it wasn't fully detached, but it was like 3/4 of the way. So it was hanging on, and
Oh,
that was part of it. So
okay.
they
Yeah.
flipped it, cleaned it up, and then reattached it in there.
Okay. Well, that's good. Detached, your bicep, my bicep hanging on by a thread just makes me cringe already. It's like, my God, that sounds so, just the idea that that last fourth could just, fall off at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't sound comfortable, but like omoplatas though, we've actually been working those this week, and it's new to me. I've been training a little over 2 years now, 2.5 maybe, and omoplatas are kind of, I guess I've missed it because it was only a couple months ago when we were, training omoplatas, and I train at one in Orange. I mean in Tustin with Jiva Santana, and Jiva was like, okay, do the just during a drill, he's like, do the omoplata, Connor, and I was just embarrassed to be like, I don't know what it is. And he was like, just put your partner in the omoplata. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what the omoplata is. And he was like, Connor. And I'm like, yeah. And he had to show me what it was. I missed all those classes, but we've been doing it this week anyway. And when you say shoulder, it's like, yeah, I can see that definitely, because your arm is trapped and being bent, the wrong way. So, yeah, but being, how old are you now? And how old were you when all that was happening?
49. I'm approaching 50. I'm a few months away from 50.
Okay. So in 2018, you were 30 or 41, I guess, when all this was happening.
Yes. Yeah. Something like that.
Got it.
However the math works. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm 47 now. I'm going to have to change the name of the podcast to Rolling Over 50 soon. But I've got a few more years before that happens. So how long did it take to come back and train after the surgery?
So I got surgery at the end of the year, worked through pandemic. It would have been the end. So it's probably, I don't know, 9-10 months, something like that.
Ooh, my God, that's hard. And were you doing rehab a lot of that time?
No, because what happened was right before pandemic, I had surgery. There is a period there where you can't jump right into full physical therapy. They give you like some exercises and things that you kind of do on your own. But I had the full on like RoboCop brace.
Oh man. Okay.
And then, I started physical therapy, and then right when pandemic happened, we were not able to like go in and have that close of physical contact just because physical therapist is within that 6 feet kind of range.
Social distancing, right?
Yeah, so there were some limitations around that, and I just said, okay, hey, well, I'll just kind of deal with it and try to do some mobility work on my own and work my way through that. And then eventually, when there was opportune time to get back on the mats, just found a path back.
Okay. And did you go back to the same gym you were at?
No, actually, I ended up going to a different gym just because of geography and just some things that were happening in my work schedule. And then eventually ended up with the team that I started with. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you ended up with the team that you started with. So back with the original team?
Yeah. So just to kind of give you some color and some context. So when I was working with the UFC gym, I ended up, so I was on the fitness end of that. So I started as a personal trainer. This is back in the days. And I would jump into classes, and they had a jiu-jitsu program at the time. I mean, I shouldn't say at the time. I mean, they still have a jiu-jitsu program with the UFC gym. But during that time, the person I would take classes from was Thomas Kenny, and he was the one I would always jump in and take classes. Eventually, he ended up opening up his own academy. So that's the team that I ended up started with. I mean, that's where I initially got my blue belt from. And then I left. I trained at a couple places while I was a blue belt. And then the back half of my blue belt, I ended up coming back to train with Thomas and the team.
Okay. And so what belt are you right now?
I'm a brown belt.
Brown belt. Congratulations, man. It's been quite a journey for you. A 20-year journey so far.
Yes. A lot of off and on and a lot more inconsistent versus consistent. But yeah.
I mean, life happens, injuries happen. So what are you going to do? But that's awesome that you've made it that far. And what would you say? Would you say that is the worst injury you've had?
Yes. Yeah. I have a bunch of most of us, a bunch of, bumps and bruises and nicks and sore joints and things that you work through. But yeah, that was the only full on surgery. Okay. Hey, this one's going to put me out.
Right.
Type of scenario. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I haven't, luckily, knock on wood, I haven't had to have one that's that bad yet, but I have had, starting when I was 44 when I started, and I had it in my mind, I'm going to go gung ho. I want to do this. And then I got my first injury like a month in, and I had to take a month off, and it was just so discouraging. It was like, I've trained for 1 month. Now of the 2 months I've trained for one and not trained at all for another one. And then I popped a rib, and I now have a permanent rib that pokes out. No surgery or anything, but it's just one of the, then I learned that that's a pretty common thing. And then But you reminded me of my most recent one when you said you didn't really feel there was no moment you could point to for the shoulder because I was training like a month ago maybe. And everything was fine. And after I rolled with, it was like class was almost over, and there's probably like only one or two more rounds to go. And then I stood up after the last round, and I felt my other side of my rib on the other side, and it was just like ooh, what's that? And I decided to leave, and I walked out slowly. I could tell my breathing was tough, and I'm like, oh man, I did it again. It's another rib, but I don't know when it happened. I don't know how it happened. It just because the first time it happened, it popped, and it was just like stop. That was the first one. This time, I don't know when or how it happened. I just stood up and boom. It might have happened when I stood up for all I know. But yeah, it took, this one wasn't anywhere near as bad as the first one. This one was just, I could tell within a few days, thank God this one isn't as bad. And I decided to give myself a few weeks and then, turned into a month, went back maybe 2 weeks ago. And yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine now. But yeah, those ones are interesting when it's like, okay, I don't know what exactly I did, but now I've got an injury.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that does happen. I had something similar happen, just in a random roll. Ended up in a standing position, and there's my partner was going for a foot sweep, and I had planted my foot, and that foot sweep attempt turned into like a calf kick. And anyways, we ended up, again, it was totally fine. Kind of work, kept working all the way through. And it was not till the end of class where I was like, oh man, that like actually kind of stung a little bit. And then that turned into, oh man, my knee was a little shaken up. But again, it was one of those where, hey, you're just kind of going through the motions. And
yeah. But did you have to take some time off?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like it happened on a Friday or whatever the case is. I was back on Monday. Figured out something.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Figured out something else to work on. But it is one of those where, you don't expect it. And a few hours later, you're like, what the heck is happening?
Right. So as a brown belt as a 49-year-old brown belt, would you say, is there anything if you could go back and give your, I guess 20-something-year-old self back in the 2000s some advice regarding jiu-jitsu training? Would there be anything you would say?
Yes, is be consistent.
What?
Be consistent.
Train consistently?
Yes. Yeah, what I realized, especially during pandemic when I was not able to train, right? Part because my shoulder, the other part of the pandemic, was, when you take something away, there's a lot of value that gets created, right? Because you realize, what you have once it's gone, right?
Right.
And so anyways, that was the time where I was, man, you know what? It doesn't matter if I have a great practice or, if I have a bad practice or if I'm getting crushed or whatever it is that's going on in the journey. It's just, hey, you know what? If I stay consistent and I do it, 3 days a week for the next whatever amount of years, life, not only does jiu-jitsu make a lot more sense that way, but also too, the ups and downs that come along with training and, the emotional things that come along with training and all the different things. And part of that, I think through, my injury or just think about like the early time where, I would go to class and I would leave class. I'd be discouraged. And then, I'd have a choice to make. Okay, hey, do I go to work or do I finish this work project or do I go and train? I'm going to finish the work project. Part of it is because did I really want to finish the work project or was I just, my ego a bit bruised because I got smoked in class, the last time. And so anyways, once you could get past that and just, consistency, there's a lot of value in consistency, especially consistency over time. And, I found that not only is that effective in jiu-jitsu, but it's really effective in all areas of your life. Right. So, I think if you were to ask me going back in time, just, play the long game.
I see. Yeah. And work-wise, I mean, did we already we covered a lot of your work journey, but I mean, did we catch up to the present? Are you current? I know you don't own gyms anymore, but
I'm still in the fitness industry, so I'm an executive for a fitness company, and I oversee
Wow.
The gyms here in California, and yeah.
You oversee the gyms here in like which ones?
So the company I'm with is a company called EOS Fitness.
Yeah, there's one down the street from my house. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yes, yeah. So we have approaching 49 gyms here in California, and
Okay.
yeah, I have oversight of that of those facilities, specific department inside those facilities.
Interesting. All right, I have a question regarding gyms because
Hit me.
I go to LA Fitness, and I hope LA Fitness is listening because I go to this one in Long Beach, and for about at least a month now, maybe 2, I go at the same time 4 mornings a week. So I work in Long Beach, and I go there before work. So I get there around 6 in the morning, and I don't know, I work out for 30, 40 minutes. Then I shower and go to work from there. Anyway, there's something that's absolutely driving me nuts, and I don't know why they don't do anything about it, which is they have the exact same music playlist on every day, starting at the same time every day, followed by the same exact song at the same time every day. And, you know, there's movies where people are tortured by forcing them to listen to the same song. It's like, I think it's in A Clockwork Orange or something, but it's like, I swear I started noticing after about a week, I'm like, that's weird. And now it's like, oh my God. So I talked to the guy up front. He's like, yeah, it's all, and he's, you know, they're all nice. He's like, yeah, I don't really have any control over it. It's all centralized somewhere. And it's like, okay. And then I called later that day and I'm like, you know, I got the name of the manager. She was nice too. I was like, just so you know, this is going on. And, you know, there's greater tragedies in the world, of course, but this is really making it unpleasant. I'm not the kind, I'm too old. I don't like walking around wearing headphones and putting noise cancellation on. I just don't like it. I don't like doing that in a public place. Now I'm doing it because I can't stand listening to that damn playlist anymore. It's like, and then she's like, yeah, we don't really have any control over that. I'm like, well, who the hell does? It's like, this is really, how hard is it to change the radio station? It's really not that hard. So, I mean, and then what I keep getting told is, it's a corporate thing. It's out of our hands. It's like, anyway, it's driving me freaking crazy. I mean, but you're an executive. You're way up there. I mean, would it really be that hard for somebody there to press a button that changes the music?
I mean, as silly as it sounds, you know, there are some limitations when it comes to playing music in commercial settings. So I don't know exactly how their infrastructure is when it comes to audio, but yeah, there are some things that could create exposure if depending upon how their music selection or the way that they distribute music occurs. So pretty high probability that that's just part of their SOP and everything is likely centralized to minimize
what's SOP stand for?
Standard operating procedure. There's there's some procedure that, you know, again, at the club level, they probably have some limitations. So, and again, right. I think every organization operates a bit differently, right? You know, in a organization where, you know, they may have a centralized focus around just providing access to members, that may not be as important. But, you know, you go into other organizations where may have a, you know, larger emphasis around member experience. You know, higher likelihood you have a lot more variety when it comes to different things like that. So
yeah, just a little would be nice. But what so you're an executive. What are your day-to-day tasks in that job?
So I oversee the fitness department. So all personal training.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you do hiring? Do you do hiring of personal trainers?
Not me personally. So we have a team of people. So there's a regional vice president that supports one of our, I guess, kind of parts of the state. And then, you know, throughout that, we have, 9 district managers that are spread throughout California. Typically, the hiring of personal trainers happens at the club level.
Right.
And then the district managers are the ones that do the second interview and kind of sign off on that. So, but yes, yeah. Building the personal training team and just all of the kind of pieces of the puzzle behind that is what I do. Yeah, it's fun.
And so what does a week look like for you in terms of I work during these hours, I train during these hours, I interview people for my podcast during these hours? What's a week look like for you?
Um, Pretty routine. So, as long as I'm not out of town, I train Monday, Wednesday, Friday in the morning times.
Okay.
And then typically, I do a lot of various calls and check-ins with the team. I spend a lot of time with the district managers and the other RVP that that we support as well. So yeah, I mean, just a lot of it just depends. If I'm spending time in the field, I may do some club visits and some one-on-ones to figure out what's going on, where I could help, where I could add some value. There may be some, collaboration meetings with my partners that are in sales and operations, various trainings that we may be working through to solve whatever problem that that's happening. So yeah, just a lot of calls and a lot of strategy type things. So.
Gotcha. Corporate work stuff. So
Yeah,
do you,
exactly.
so the podcast, I'd love to talk more about that. How, like you said, you guys were going real strong for a good 2 years, like 2023, 2024. And
Yes.
were you producing, would you say weekly episodes or twice a month or so?
Yeah, the first year we went gangbusters. It was every week. And then year 2 we went to twice a month.
Okay.
And the back half of last year is when things started to taper off. So 2 things happened. My co-host Archie, this whole concept allowed him to be able to open up his own chiropractic office.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So he has a chiropractic office there in Garden Grove, California, called Groundwork Chiropractic.
Okay.
And he was a chiropractor, or is a chiropractor, I should say. And through the process, he ended up, getting inspired by, a lot of our guests and just learning a lot of kind of fundamental things with his guests. And the end goal was always for him to open his practice. And then through that process, he ended up opening his practice, and it just got busier and busier and busier. So the back half of last year, his practice got super busy. At the same time, EOS did a big acquisition. So we purchased all the Gold's gyms.
Okay.
In California. So we were going through the conversion of all that. So he was busy. His practice was coming off the ground. My time was super consumed with getting this expansion and the kind of integration of systems and things. So both of us have been completely slammed the past, call it 6-7 months. So, we met the other, I don't know what that was, the other week. We had talked through what that's going to look like. And, the goal is, we'll likely add some virtual guests over the course of, next few weeks to relaunch here.
Mm-hmm. And so if he's in Garden Grove and you're in Corona, so is it going to be, that's what my question was going to be. Is it going to be mostly virtual guests because of that?
Yes. Yeah. So what will likely happen is Dr. Archie will still be playing a role. He just, his priority is going to be, he has a baby on the way.
Oh,
and
that's great.
And his practice. So, he'll still be jumping in and supporting, but, I'll be doing some episodes virtually.
Okay. And so did you guys ever have a hard time like finding guests and did you just like, how did you guys figure out there's going to be enough people out there who are entrepreneurs who train jiu-jitsu? Like, did you just start reaching out to connections you had and people you knew and things like that?
So where it all started is when this idea came about, right? This whole kind of Bizjitsu, I guess, kind of thought process came about. There's a couple different places that I'll go train and cross train, and just speaking with people. And what I would ask is like, hey, where would I find, if there was a directory or a place where people own businesses, like where could I learn about people's businesses of people in the jiu-jitsu community?
Right.
And there wasn't any real centralized place where
I was about to say I wouldn't think there'd be one. So
yeah.
okay.
So that was kind of the starting point. And then you think about it, right, with people that you train with. We have people that are on the mats with us that are in all kinds of different walks of life.
Absolutely.
Right. And there's a high probability that, people like myself, right. I'm always looking for people that are, enthusiastic about fitness. I want to make a career in the fitness industry. Someone maybe, a financial planner that, hey, they spend their time looking for people that want to, stabilize and then, make some investments for the future. You may have people on the mats that are realtors that, hey, they're spending time going out, canvassing, handing out flyers, meeting people to sell houses. And, my co-host Archie, he's a chiropractor, so he's always looking for people that he could help with, relieving pain. So people live like that on our mats all day long.
Right.
And if there's an opportunity to just create dialogue and support one another, I think that there should be a path to be able to do that, right? I use the analogy of, people go to golf courses and there's deals that happen on golf courses all the times.
Right.
Why wouldn't there be an opportunity for deals to happen on a jiu-jitsu mat, right?
Yeah.
There is kind of a common thread that allows people to be able to have I think a higher degree of trust because, hey, this person trains jiu-jitsu and I train jiu-jitsu, and you could tell a lot about people, right? Especially folks that train. I think there's just a better understanding of, who people are at their core. Now, again, it doesn't mean that just because they do jiu-jitsu, this is like pure perfect person, but we do have a general idea, right? And it's, hey, if I'm going to be giving my business to somebody, I might as well give my business to somebody that I have a relationship with.
Right. That I trust to let me go when I tap, and that I'm going to let them go when they tap. I mean, there's absolutely a fabulous amount of trust that we build with one another when we do that. It's a very special bond. I totally agree with that. So, but what you're saying is, like with the Bizjitsu Podcast, it's not just the interest in interviewing people who are entrepreneurs and also train, but it's kind of trying to build a community and network of those of us who train but also own businesses, right?
Correct. Yeah. And the other part of it too is, I get fascinated speaking with people, and yeah, I think you would agree with me that, podcasting is actually pretty fun, right? You get a chance to be able to take a time out. There's, you can't focus on a lot of other things other than the guest that's in front of you. You have the, ability to be able to speak with people and learn about things. And yeah, it's been super, super fascinating, right? Is, you start hearing some very similar patterns of people that have done well in their business, and similar feelings and different things that come along with that. So yeah, it's been super fun. So yeah, it's kind of two world, right? The big picture of it is yeah, hey, we want to continue to build this community, and the idea around supporting each other's businesses in the jiu-jitsu community. The other part of it too is just as the person on the other end, air quotes, the producer, right? The person on the other end, like for me, it's just super fun, right? You get a chance to be able to learn about people's origin stories and people's backgrounds and things that they're really, really good at. And, you meet a bunch of cool people along the way, and yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah. Hey, that's something we can agree on. Absolutely. There's, yeah, I mean, when I first started thinking about podcasting, I had the idea for several different kind. And then it was right after I started training, I'm like, well, why can't I have a jiu-jitsu podcast? I'm a one stripe. No, I think I started when I had no stripes. It was 0 stripe white belt when I started, maybe, or I'd just gotten one. I don't know. And I was like, why can't I? I mean, sure. Who am I? I mean, it'd probably be a black belt would probably be better, but it's like, no, I want to kind of chronicle my journey, and I want to get to know people. And every single interview I've done, to me, it's just an absolute blast. The way you can kind of get to know people by interviewing them on a podcast. It's like you're focused, you're committed, you've got this dedicated time. So yeah, obviously we can agree on that. We're both podcasters, and it's been an absolute blast for me. So as far as your guests though, were there any that so have some of your guests been located like in a completely different place other than Southern California? Like it's been like that person way over there? Like what's any other countries, or just all US?
Yeah, all US.
Okay.
I mean, from all over the place.
Okay.
from
East Coast, everything.
everywhere. Yeah, Milwaukee, Wisconsin to New York to Florida to Colorado. Yeah, all over the place.
What have been some of the things that you've learned about your jiu-jitsu game from some of your podcasts?
I don't know if I've learned anything specific about my jiu-jitsu game other than, as long as I've been doing it, I'm still not very good at it.
Don't say that. You're a brown belt. Don't say that.
Yeah, I think I realize how much I don't know more than anything. I think that's what the brown belt solidifies and validates of, man, there's levels to the game.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really impacted my jiu-jitsu in any very direct fashion.
Okay.
I think that it has an indirect impact because everybody has everybody has their own individual journey, and through that you learn a lot through adversity, right? And there's been people that have been on a podcast that have overcome cancer, and there have been people that very similar have injuries or have a busy lifestyle, or all of the different things that come along with that. And I think that's probably the common theme when it comes to just how's it impacting my jiu-jitsu is, at the end of the day, even though jiu-jitsu may be something that initially I was doing as a recreational hobby, the other part of it is the further along I got, the more immersed I got, and just jiu-jitsu now is not just a hobby, it's part of my identity, right? It's part of who I am, right? In the same way that, okay, I work out and go to the gym, I also do jiu-jitsu, right? And in the same way I have an interest for or appreciation for art, is the same thing that comes along with that, right? And my spiritual beliefs, right? So I think just it being part of who I am and just part of the lifestyle, you start to see people that have, been further along than myself, or even just people kind of going through the journey, is there is that kind of common theme of it just being part of the lifestyle. So,
Have you ever competed?
one time I competed as a white belt.
One time as a white belt. And was this so this was 20 years ago, or
Yeah, it was years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I have not spent a lot of time or energy competing, or even really having any desire or interest to compete. I think it's super cool. Like, I'll go and watch jiu-jitsu matches and all those things that come along with that. I've just never have not had the desire to do that. It's crossed my mind, and I think especially where I'm at right now is, at some point I'm gonna, I think it'll be very appropriate for me as a brown belt to, get some competition experience. Just in the spirit of it all, it's just never been a priority for me.
I'm the same way. I haven't competed. I don't plan to, but I'll be interviewing a guy in a couple weeks who he started jiu-jitsu in his mid-50s, and he's competed as a white belt in his mid-50s a ton already, and it's just I find it interesting that there's people like, again, the interesting thing about this whole running a podcast like this and getting to meet people, it's like there's people like you with your perspective on competition, which is similar to mine, and people like him where it's like, wow, that is so, it's at the same time, what an inspiration to be in your mid-50s and just start and jump right into competing. And I think it's great. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. And I have a great appreciation for folks that do compete. And again, there's I can't speak from it because I am not that way. But I've definitely felt it, right? When you have a very competitive brown belt or purple belt, like, you could feel it, right? And you can tell the speed and the decision-making skills of someone that is an active competitor is different than someone that is a recreational hobbyist like myself. So yeah, I think that there's definitely some value of that, and it's crossed my mind quite a bit, and especially when I initially had got my brown belt, I'm like, okay, hey, it's probably time, and then again, life gets busy, and I'm just happy to be able to get on the mat and come out to train another day. Right, come out of training,
yep.
be as pain free as possible for me to be able to keep coming back. So yeah, I'm sure at some point, I'll I'll make that a priority. But right now, no. My history is I do not have a history of competing.
Yeah, you said it though, as far as wanting to come back another day. That a buddy of mine I trained with named Chris, who I interviewed on here, he was saying, he said it. His words were, hey, I want to be here tomorrow," and it's like, yeah, it's the same idea, and I'd say my perspective has kind of changed on that over. I haven't been training that long, but now I'm definitely to the point where it's like whatever it takes for me to increase my chances of still being able to train tomorrow rather than leaving here injured. That's what I'm going to do right now. So I'd say when I started, I was like, come on, don't be a wuss. Don't say no to anybody who approaches you on the mat and says, do you want to roll? Don't say no to anybody. Now I don't feel like shameful anymore if I'm like, you know what, I'm good right now. I want to be here tomorrow. I want to live to see another day on this mat. So I want to get to the point where, I feel strong and comfortable enough in my jiu-jitsu to where it's like, no matter what happens with this guy, I can at least defend myself well enough. But it's like right now, I want to be here tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the live to roll another day for sure, right? And then also too, man, I think people have different perspectives around that, but yeah, I mean, you're a grown man. And if you don't want to roll somebody, it's okay to say no, right? Or hey, if you're in between rounds and you're smoked and you need to recover, then great, right? Yeah, as long as it's done respectfully. But also too, I think that there is, there's that split second of decision making where, okay, hey, am I saying no because whatever, for whatever legitimate reason, or is it a scenario of, hey, I said no because I was worried about getting, tapped or crushed or whatever the case is. That's just part of the process, right? And I think that embracing that is is very healthy and appropriate as well. But I also do think being responsible and saying no is also just as responsible, right? So again, yes. There is this kind of dichotomy of both sides. So yeah,
right. How has your jiu-jitsu game changed over the years in terms of, your things that you feel like you were really getting good at a certain time, and it's like, oh, that's kind of my thing, and things that maybe you didn't think, certain moves, submissions, sweeps, whatever, where you think, oh, maybe I don't know if I'll ever be good at that, and then now you surprise yourself, oh, I'm actually pretty decent at that now, and what are kind of your specialties and whatnot?
Yeah, great question. So, you think of the most dominant position. So when you think of the most dominant position in jiu-jitsu, what is that position?
Oh, you're firing a question back at me. Very good strategy. I would say either mount or side control or back.
Yep. It was, what I realized is you learn that in jiu-jitsu, right? Hey, the most dominant positions are going to be those where like you're in control, right? Which, to your point, hey, I pass someone's guard, I'm in side control, I'm in top position, right? And yes. I transition into a mount position, and there's the other option of having the back, right?
Right.
The idea of having someone's back and me being in full control of someone's back, I realized, hey, that's a pretty dominant position, right? They can't see what I'm doing. I can trap their arms. I have the ability to be able to choke them, and all they're doing is playing defense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I realized that in, my blue belt phase, and you start to realize, hey, the most dominant position is getting the back. The problem was when I was a blue belt, I wasn't getting anybody's back. Right. Everybody was getting my back. And there may be some moments there where like I get someone's back, but I didn't really understand. Like I understand the concept and theory of getting somebody or getting someone's back, but I didn't really understand the mechanics of it. Right, in a very slow environment, the theory of it of like, okay, hey, you place your two hooks in here and hand goes here and grip this or whatever the case is. So it would have started on the back half of my blue belt phase where I realized, okay, hey, if I want to get into this dominant position, I have to find a path in every scenario to get people's back. And then once I'm on someone's back, I need to find a way to stay on their back. Right. So
Yeah.
one of the places I do some cross training with is Mythic Jiu-Jitsu out in Fullerton. Jeff Nolasco, the professor there, is a friend of mine, really good friend of mine, actually. And he made a statement to me one time because we were talking about this whole thing, and he planted the seed around ride time. He's like, hey, now that you're thinking about that, you should be thinking about, when I get someone's back, how much ride time am I getting, right? And then eventually, all the submissions and all the exposure and everything comes along with that. But the first thing is find a path to the back. Second thing is how long can I stay on someone's back, right? So when that really resonated with me, I mean, it was the back half of my blue belt all the way through my purple belt. I mean, probably even till now, right? It's just, oh man, there's paths to people's backs in everything, literally in every scenario, right? You can force you could force somebody into the back and really just kind of set somebody up and trap somebody into giving up their back. So that's that was part of the journey. I think that changed, where that actually clicked in my mind. The other part of it too is so I do some cross training with Chris Howder. You know who Chris Howder is?
No.
So Chris Howder is he has a I guess kind of a team or a club called the Combat Base Club. So he is one of the original, they call him the Dirty Dozen, one of the first 12 black belts, first Americans, first 12 non-Brazilians to get a jiu-jitsu black belt. Oh
wow, that's big.
Yeah, huge. Yeah, so he's out in Redondo Beach and get a lot of training with him, and he has this kind of rules jiu-jitsu, and it's always be the person on top, right? When on top, stay on top, and
okay,
when you're in guard, have a guard that you cannot pass, right? And so there's kind of his rules, right? Then he has a fourth rule, which is don't forget rule number 1, which is always be the guy on top, right?
Okay.
So what I realized too, and this has been probably I've been spending a lot more time as a brown belt playing guard, and I realized, oh man, if you have a really, really good guard game, your offense on your top game changes quite a bit, because I'm not worried about getting swept while I'm on top, right? So
right,
because if I end up on the bottom, I end up getting swept, like I'll have a very quick path to recover guard, and then from there I could work and be able to grab someone's back or be able to sweep or stand up and wrestle up or whatever the case is. So like just, I guess to answer your question, like what has evolved, I think just being understanding that there's some very intentional things that you try to accomplish inside of practice, and, some very specific skills that you are working towards, versus in the earlier phase, right? So I'll call it my white belt to the first half of my blue belt. I would just go to class and I would show up, and hopefully I can, keep up and
hope for the best, right?
Yeah, just apply some of the things that I've learned. And, one day I'm learning about whatever omoplatas, another day, hey, we're doing, some sweeps or some passes or whatever the case is. And hopefully it all comes together. It was the back half of my blue belt where I started to realize, like, oh, I could be very intentional. Like, yeah, I'm going to go to class, but I'm going to go to class, and when it comes to rolling, I'm going to work on this specific back take and see how it works. And then, oh man, that didn't quite work. I'm going to go back, and man, you know what? They stuffed it this way. They stopped this way. I couldn't get them to bite on this, so let me try that, right? And that turned into just my own little project that I was working on in the back of my mind. Anytime I went to class, I was always trying to accomplish very specific things, and then that just literally built up over time.
So would you say, like, it's interesting for me when you're talking about, you started to become intentional towards like the back half of your blue belt days. And I mean, would you say that that's just kind of the natural progression? Because I mean, I do feel like I'm still pretty much just in just hope for the best, survive. I'd say every once in a while I'll try to be more intentional, but I kind of just try. I guess my style is more like, I'm just going to I don't really have a plan per se. And maybe I feel like because the few times that I've kind of had a plan, that it's just stuffed within before I even get to the first step of that plan. It's like I can't even keep somebody in my De La Riva for very long at all. I don't know why. It's just like, because when it's frustrating, because when I'm stuck, to talk about De La Riva for a minute, if I'm standing and somebody has me in their De La Riva, I have a really hard time getting out of that De La Riva, like moving the leg and jumping over it or whatever. But when I'm the other guy, even though I play guard way better than passing guard, but when it comes to De La Riva, I just can't keep that guy there. It's like he takes that one leg, throws it aside, jumps over. White belts, blue belts, they all do it to me. So like, for example, I mean, just like to use that as an example, to be intentional. If my plan was, let me sweep him with my De La Riva and then do this, it's like just getting to that very first step most of the time is pretty hard for me. So would you say like being intentional is just the natural progression is it's going to take till blue belt or maybe even later to be able to successfully be intentional?
I mean, I can't speak for everybody. I mean, I will tell you when that clicked in my world, my lens that I look through jiu-jitsu is entirely different, right?
Oh, wow.
But yeah, to answer your question, I heard early on that, blue belt is where you start to, you learn the fundamentals and you start to understand like what jiu-jitsu is. But purple belt is where you actually develop your game. And I think that came true for me because a lot of that part where I was on the back half of my blue belt and I started to put some of those pieces together, like literally my entire purple belt process was like I was developing, air quotes, my game, right? What does my game look like on top? What does my game look like, from guard? What does my game look like from a standing position? And all of that was the spirit of it all was like, okay, hey, in every position I learned like, okay, hey, how can I get to someone's back? Right. Along the way, there's going to be a bunch of different transitions and a bunch of different strategies, right? Like I've been doing De La Riva probably for the last, I don't know, year and a half. And it's frustrating because, you're accustomed to doing one guard game and then you start applying a new game, right? Like De La Riva, and you don't fully know it, but I know these other things, right? But I realized, oh, okay, from half guard De La Riva, like there's a lot of, exchange back and forth that you can do. And, you can integrate, a lot of different strategy by being able to do that. But, as you implement other parts of your game, yeah, that's just part of the learning process, right? It's like, oh, okay, hey, this is working against a white or a blue belt, but a purple belt, they know what I'm doing. And I got to figure out, what is the purple belt version of this, because I could do it on a white belt, I could do it on a blue belt, but I can't do it on a purple belt or higher. Right? And then you start to kind of put the pieces of the puzzle and you're like, oh, this is working on other brown belts. Or like, dang, whether or not the black belt allowed me to do that, I was able to do it. And, oh, okay, you start to put some of these pieces of the puzzle together, right? But, I think part of that is just you got to show up with some, intentionality of like, hey, what are you trying to accomplish? And sometimes I think it's, like for you, I would use that same theory of ride time of like, okay, hey, if I'm trying to develop this De La Riva game, how long can I keep somebody in this De La Riva, right? Before I'm forced to like change into a different
abandon
position, right?
the De La Riva. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And then, okay, hey, how long can I get back into it? And then how long could I go until I accomplish the next thing, right? Which is whatever it is, a De La Riva sweep or, whatever it is that you may be thinking of, or the variations that come along with that. But I think part of it is just, when that ride time analogy made so much sense because I realized, oh, okay, if I could focus on ride time, I have to get to the back for me to start my ride time. So like literally every practice I went to was, okay, hey, was I even able to get any ride time? Oh, I couldn't get anybody's back. Okay, well, I need to find another path, right? So, okay, I got someone's back, but it was, whatever, 3 seconds. I mean, that's not enough, but at least I got to someone's back, right? And then that turned into this like game that I was playing with myself. And that way, when I was rolling with somebody, hey, if they passed, I'm less concerned about if they passed. I was more concerned about like with them passing, does that create an opportunity for me to grab their back? Because that was my intention, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then, it wasn't always, and I think before that it was just win or lose. It was super binary, oh man, you know what? They were in my guard, they opened my guard, they passed my guard, and they were inside control, and I was stuck, right?
Yep.
And I felt like I lost that.
I know the feeling.
Right. I mean, it still happens. It definitely still happens, right? I air quotes, I lost that round, and now I got to go back and reset and try to like regroup. Yeah. Versus, you know, okay, hey, that may have happened, but you know, I was close to getting someone's back. Okay, cool. Next round, I know what I did different. I know what I got to do differently because I'm working on, you know, one specific thing, you know, to be able to obtain ride time, right? And for me, it was, you know, ride time at the back, right? In your case, hey, I'm just trying to see how long I could do this De La Riva thing, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, being intentional helps.
So, yeah, okay. The ride time thing you're talking about. So even if, like, let's say you are the theme of the week, the move of the week has nothing to do with even having someone's back. Like if it's like, triangle from guard or something, like that's the move of the week, and you guys are practicing and learning all kinds of different ways to get there. But you're saying even in that instance, like your goal of the day will still be to increase your ride time, like to get someone's back and ride it?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So
that's a very simple answer.
Yes. Yeah. So in class, I'm learning triangles or we're learning whatever.
Yeah.
That sounds great. And if the move of the day comes up while we go live, I'm going to apply it, but I'm going to go into it and be able to say, okay, hey, well, that sounds great. Now we're going live. So it's like a different segment, right? And now I will tell you that, if the practice is you have some very specific instructions, right? Or it's a situational type drilling scenario, then I'm going to go along with whatever we're learning in class.
Right.
The moment it becomes an opportunity for me to go live, or for the team to go live, then, okay, well, if they say whatever, right? Hey, starting guard, 5-minute rounds, clock starts, go ahead and go. Okay, cool. Well, if I'm on top, then I'm going to pass guard and I'm going to try to find someone's back. If I'm on the bottom, I'm going to be in guard and I'm going to try to find a path to get to someone's back. Right.
Wow. All right, man. When you say intentional, you're not kidding around.
No. And literally it's a scenario of like, okay, hey, we may be working side control escapes or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We go live rounds and it's, starting side control, 5-minute rounds, 1-minute break, 3, 2, 1, go. They start class. Okay, great. I'm on the bottom and I'm looking for a path to escape so I can get to someone's back. Right.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a drilling scenario where they're like, hey, once someone escapes, reset. Okay, that's different, right? But if it's just a open roll, and it's just whatever it is, however we start is how we start. But what I'm trying to get to is, I need to clock my ride time. So
is that still true today?
Yes.
Wow. This is like an aha moment you had, and that has been the main goal of your game ever since then for years now. Yeah, blue, purple, brown.
Yes. Yeah. So, the short answer is yes. Now I may be working some very specific things. So, like you talk about De La Riva. There's a very specific De La Riva part of the game that I can grab someone's back, right?
Okay. Sure.
So I may be in a scenario where I'm working De La Riva, but the intention is to grab their back, right? There may be a scenario where, okay, hey, we're working side control, and from side control, now there's multiple ways I can get to someone's back, right? So, again, I'm gonna focus on what we're learning for the day. But for me, it's okay. Hey, is there an opportunity for me to be able to get to someone's back, right? And I think it's a very a good skill to be able to have, and just a good thing to be able to have. So even okay, hey, I got a very specific opportunity to. There was a point where I did a lot of De La Riva practice. There's a 2-on-1 control arm drag series that I would do, but that 2-on-1 control arm drag series was to get someone's back.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So a question I have is, all right, so like right now, the last guy I interviewed, Okay, my podcast too. I've had a similar path, but obviously on a smaller scale than you guys, because I started out gangbusters as well, and yeah, I was making one every week, and I was like so excited. It was just so much fun, and then it really slowed down last year. Long story, I had an injury. I had to take a break from training. My family and we went to Japan for a month on vacation, and then you know. And then I was like, then it turned into like every month, and then it's been a slump for like the last 3 or 4 months. But the last guy I interviewed back in December, he was telling me, he was giving me, I was talking to him, he was giving me some advice about my go-to now is, everybody at the gym who rolls with me probably knows my go-to is Kimura. It just happened. And then the next thing I know, I'm at least attempting the Kimura all the time. But for me, it's like, okay, that's a submission though. It's like, okay, the advice he gave me was, it's like, is it, he was like, he asked me the question. He's like, well, is it fun? Do you enjoy going for it? And I was just like, of course, that's like the most fun thing is pretty much, if that's the only thing I feel like I'm slightly better at than other things. So it's a lot of fun. It's a ton of fun. And he's like, well, then you should keep trying to do that all the time. Don't stop trying to do that. That's, if you can keep it fun, and you're going to learn things along the way. If you don't get it, you're going to learn that time. If you do get it, you're going to learn something. And he's like, no, there's no reason not to try that every time if you're having fun. And it's like, okay, because I feel like that's one perspective. And so, but for me, listening to you now, it's like, all right, that's a submission though. Would you agree with him, or would you say it's better to kind of have a more of a dominant position mindset rather than a submission mindset? Because the back take is a dominant position mindset. You know what I mean?
I agree with that. It has to be fun, and everybody has their own, their own path, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, along the way, the idea of grabbing someone's back or having a dominant position, I think that just resonated, with me. And, it's not always for me, there's a scenario where you start to realize like, oh man, I can maintain this top position and I'm going to, apply a bunch of top pressure. That's going to force them to get their back. Right. In reality, I didn't need to do all that because I could have done some of my other tricks to get someone's back. But, you start to work into these different scenarios, right? Of like, okay, instead of me just rushing to someone's back, do I go into a north-south position and kind of force that, opportunity differently? Yeah. And you start to just develop, right?
Yeah.
For me, it just turned into my own little game that I was playing, right? And no one really knew it. I just wanted to be able to do that. And the higher or the more proficient I got, the more I would find myself to like, oh man, I got to do this to some of the higher belts.
Okay.
And then when it started to like, oh dang, there's actually an opportunity for me to be able to do that. And oh man, they didn't even realize like what I was doing. Like for me, it was just the game slows down the more you kind of focus on it. So yeah, I mean, if it's a Kimura, and Kimuras are everywhere, yeah, I mean, just keep building on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will. I am definitely, but it's like at the same time, it feels like I don't want to become. I don't want other parts of my game to just to not grow as well. Even though I know they fundamentally will, of course, but just at a slower rate. But like for me, a year ago, if you listen to any of my interviews, it's like I literally did not have a go-to move. I was like, I don't have any moves. I got nothing. I'm just surviving out there. I could not have guessed that by now, a year later, I'd be like, oh yeah, Kimura is, I get that sometimes, and I threaten it a lot, and it feels good to be able to say that now. But I couldn't have predicted that. So in your path, has there been anything any specific submission or move that you've gotten to where it's like, oh, I couldn't have predicted that I'd be doing that by now?
I mean, I'll tell you, the thing that comes to mind is, so there's this knee slide or knee slice pass that I learned in, when I was a white belt. And I mean, to this day, I still do it. And, there's just, it was one of those things where, hey, there's a lot of different things I learned inside that in the early phase of my jiu-jitsu, but there was a, very specific, process in regards to, opening someone's guard and doing a knee slide or knee slice. And again, till today, that's still part of the game. And I realized, one, when I was earlier on, like, oh, okay, I thought that this is just the way that was, and at in the very beginning, I couldn't do it, and I knew that the kind of the theory of what it was supposed to look like, and then it started to like click, and then that's just something that continued to stick with me, right? And that becomes part of the game that gets built, right? And that's a step in the process of getting someone's back, right? Is first I got to be able to get a guard open and be able to pass, and just having that kind of handy dandy works every time pass is always very helpful, right? So whether it's a knee size pass like that, or a Kimura trap to be able to do whatever you want to do, right? I think it's important to be able to have something that you can build off of, and know that, hey, that's not the overall end game, it's just a piece of the puzzle of the game. I think is definitely very healthy and very appropriate.
So what are some of the moves that you would say you are working on right now that you have a hard time defending against? Like some things that maybe some of the higher belts do to you, and any submissions, any passes where it's like, okay, I really want to work on my defense against that thing better. Or have you mastered it all now?
No. I mean, I think if we're saying, hey, what's an area where I have some holes in my game, it would be my offense around the leg lock game.
Okay.
I feel proficient around the defense of my leg lock game. Again, if there's an area that is like, man, I'm going to do everything I can to stay out of, is a leg lock game, just because I don't have a lot of offense. I have some general understanding of it, but I don't have a lot of offense like some people have a lot of proficiency around, right? Mm-hmm. So it kind of goes back to the whole scenario around like, hey, if someone's been spending all their time around the leg lock game, they're going to be that more proficient, right? In the same way that I've been being very back intentional tank. About doing back takes, right?
Yes.
So it's literally, but it's the opposite of that, right? So, if I say, hey, is there a gaping hole, is definitely the offense. I don't want to even say a gaping hole, but if there's a hole in the game, like there's a disparity between, my upper body submissions versus my lower body submissions. So yeah, I mean, I would say that that's probably an area that at some point I'll need to put a lot more time and energy, and you accumulate things over time, especially when higher belts, or not even just higher belts, just people start to develop their own game and you roll with them and you don't get a chance to deploy your game because you're defending against their game that they've been proficient at. You start to learn, okay, in order for me to even get to the idea of getting past the back, like I have to find a way to get past this leg lock game, right? So yeah, I think that is probably an area that at some point I need to spend more time developing. I just, it's been more reactionary than being intentional.
Do you still have times, you're a brown belt now, you've come a long way. Do you still have times where we mentioned it earlier, and I was going to ask about like where your ego takes a hit? Cause I mean, I'm obviously still there, where there's days where it's like, oh geez, I thought I was better than that. That was a rough day. But do you still go through that at all?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what you start to realize, and again, I don't think it's less of an ego thing. I think it's just more of a, the idea that like, wow, there is levels to this thing. Right. And, the idea that, technique, beats strength.
Mm-hmm.
I would disagree. Right. I would disagree. I mean, if you have somebody that is comparable technique, but they're physically bigger or physically stronger, it amounts to something. Right. Genetics is a real thing. Right. So, you have a, equally skilled, brown belt, comparable skills of athleticism. Things like dexterity and strength aren't going to matter. Now, it doesn't matter when there's disparity between technique, right? So like, if someone is a lot more further technical, that may not apply. But when you start to think like, okay, hey, the gap is closing,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going and training with other people that are similar experience as you, like, yeah, that split second of them being able to pin you down for them to get an underhook, it matters, right?
Yep, of course.
So yeah, I mean, I that's probably something that is equivalent to in the very early phases of like your ego getting bruised, right? I think it's just part of just accepting the fact that, hey, genetics is a real thing, and that being part of it. I anytime I go into open mats is where I think that gets exposed the most, right?
Okay.
Because you go and you feel a again, in my instance, right, a brown belt that's like, okay, hey, I understand what they're doing, they understand what we're doing, and this guy just has a bigger gas tank than me, right? And then it turns into a scenario of like, okay, hey, I have an answer, he has an answer for my answer, we continue to go. Now we're 4 minutes in, and now he's 2 steps ahead of me, and I'm 2 steps behind him. Like, yeah, that gas tank is an asset, right? Or that strength is an asset, right? So yeah, I think I'm sure that does not go away, right? It's you start to problem solve, I think, a bit differently, but just having the reality of like, oh, there's levels to this, right? Belt doesn't matter, right? You start having some of these other attributes. Definitely help. And I mean, I'll share with you, it works out favorably for me as well, right? Because hey, I've been lifting weights since I was 13 years old, and I am in the fitness industry, and all of those things that come along with that. So yeah, I mean, are there times where I may have to use some strength for a period of time to set up some additional technique? Yeah, that's why you look at competitive jiu-jitsu folks, there is a strength and conditioning component to their regimens, because there's going to be some times where you're going to need to be able to apply some of those other attributes.
Have there been any moments, how long have you been a brown belt?
I got my brown belt last year. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm approaching, I don't know, 7-8 months, something like that. It was August, I think it was, last year.
Okay. I think I saw it on Instagram. I think I saw your little ceremony on Instagram, I think. So since you've been, or even when you were a purple belt, or since you've been a brown belt, have you ever gone against, let's say, a white belt or a blue belt who really surprised you and you were like, oh, holy shit, they're good for a white belt or a blue belt?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like,
any specific ones in your memory? Like, oh God, that guy was good.
No, I mean, I think it's a scenario where like, I mean, how would I say this? I mean, there's going to be people that, like, regardless of their belt, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, some people just have it.
Right.
Right. And, again, I think you could be deceived with just, if you're making decisions based upon belt. But yeah, I mean, if you give somebody a fair shot, and some people, again, there's just some people that got it. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, dude, this guy understands the concept. Or, hey, you got someone that was a wrestler, right, that has some foundational grappling skills, and yeah, they're wearing a white belt, but like, dude, they're gonna try to give you a little run here. So yeah, I mean, that happens still till now, right? It's like, oh, right. Hey, this person's a lower belt, and like, dude, they're pretty good. I mean, this happened most recently, right? I mean, I was at an open mat, and there was a younger blue belt, 19, 20 years old. But he was competing since he was 8.
Oh wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And you get a blue belt like that's on the mat that is, wiry, and you're like, oh dude, he's definitely wearing a blue belt. But you start to realize like, okay, hey, this guy's trying to put it on me right now. So yeah, I mean, that happens.
Yeah, the belt thing is so interesting to me because I still feel like no matter what, within, like when people go to competitions and there's a blue belts, there's the blue belts and the white belts and the black belts and the brown belts, it's like you can get so much disparity within one belt, right? That it's like I just don't, from gym to gym, I've talked to some of my guests about this. It's like I think I talked to Dr. Rob about this actually. Like from gym to gym, it's not like there's some set skills that the whole jiu-jitsu world agrees on, that okay, when you go from white belt to blue belt, you got to be able to do this. When you go from blue belt to purple belt, you got to be able to do this. And it's like that's inevitably going to create massive disparity within each belt. And so, yeah, I don't know. I kind of I think about that a lot in terms of competition. It's like there's got to be some dudes from some gym way over there and some dudes from some gym way over here. They're competing in the same bracket, but you know what I mean?
Oh, there's levels to the game. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's such thing as a white belt, brown belt, right?
Wow, and, haven't heard that term before.
There's such thing as a blue belt, brown belt, right? Where it's like, hey, there's such thing as a black belt, brown belt, right? Okay. Where it's like, okay, hey, this person is, and it applies to everything, right? It's like, hey, when someone's a blue belt, right? Like you can be when you're on the back half of it, like I'm a brown belt, blue belt, right? Where I'm already kind of graduating out of it, but yeah, I'm still wearing a blue belt, and I'm a lot further along than someone that just got awarded their blue belt, but I may not quite be somebody that has fully achieved the purple belt, right? So I mean, there's levels to the game, right? Especially too, because you think most people keep their belts for whatever 2-3 years, maybe longer, right? You accumulate a lot of information over that time frame.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, the moment, who you are when you first get a purple belt versus who you are when you kind of graduate out, you're two different human beings with, a lot more information, right? It doesn't mean that you're invincible. It just means that you just have a lot more information.
Yeah, of course. Shall we move on to the lightning round?
Bring it.
Okay. Is there a topic in jiu-jitsu that you feel people do not talk about enough?
Yes. The introduction of jiu-jitsu, I don't think that there's a lot of, or enough information out there in regards to onboarding a new student, right? And just that onboarding experience for a new student. I think that there's a lot of perspectives, right? Where, some folks may put a lot of emphasis on that. The other folks, maybe, hey, just come in and come to class, right? But I think being able to have a very organized and structured onboarding is probably an area where, a blanket statement across the jiu-jitsu community, I think that, that's probably, it's just as important, right? We put a lot of emphasis around the high-level competitors, and you see a lot of information around that. And, folks that have done it for a long time, but like, we all know what it's like to be, a fresh white belt student. And, there is some information about it. Like Gracie has the combative system, and some people, have, some general information about that. But I think that introduction to jiu-jitsu is probably a good place where we could get some more information out there.
Who would be your dream podcast guest that you haven't had yet?
Dream podcast guest that I have not had yet. Jocko Willink.
Have you reached out?
No.
Okay. Are you going?
Possibly.
Okay.
Possibly. Right. I think, especially now, with the work that they've done with Origin and, all the different businesses, Jocko Fuel, all of the things that he's been building from a business perspective. And then the fact that, he's Jocko in
jiu-jitsu. He's Jocko. I was going to say he's Jocko, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it would probably be him.
Do you learn more these days from rolling or from the podcast?
It depends. Learning in what sense?
About jiu-jitsu.
I learn more through rolling.
Is there a jiu-jitsu opinion you have that usually surprises people?
No, I really don't have a lot of firm opinions about things that I think would surprise people. I try to keep things very, very simple. I believe fundamentals in jiu-jitsu are going to be very, very critical. I don't think that's some crazy opinion, right? I believe, people in jiu-jitsu should have a pretty structured onboarding. If not, you have a high risk of losing them. I don't think that's revolutionary. I think you should be intentional about your training. I don't think that's revolutionary. So yeah, I don't think that there is.
Least favorite position to get stuck in?
Least favorite position to get stuck in. Mount.
When somebody's on you, like you're on
Correct.
bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone that
I assume.
understands. Yeah. Someone that understands the mount position and all the dynamics around there. You creates a great deal of claustrophobia. And again, I think getting mounted that's a normal thing in practice, but you have someone that fully understands that and is not giving me an opportunity. It is very unpleasant for sure.
Okay, last one. You mentioned a lot about taking people's back. How good are you at getting out of it when somebody has your back?
I would say relatively good, right? I jokingly talk about, the spaz defense is a is a pretty effective way of defending all submissions, right?
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, I feel very good. If I get put into a bad spot, I can scramble really well. So yeah, anytime I sense that, I'm in a bad spot, I'm gonna do everything I can to scramble to get back to a position that is a lot more familiar and a lot more comfortable. So yeah, I mean, I think generally speaking, there's both kind of like the technical aspect of it, like, yeah, I feel proficient there. The other part of it too is like, I like to scramble, so I'm going to make it very, very difficult for somebody to try to pin me down and fully get my back for sure.
Yeah. See, that's what I love about the podcasting is all the way up until the last question. I still learned something. The spaz defense. I'm going to try to remember that. But anyway, thanks, Vince. It's been a pleasure, and really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, Connor, it's been an honor. Thank you so much. You're doing some great work. I actually, let's connect offline. I have some potential guests that I could help point your way.
Oh, sounds great. All right, let's do it.
Yep, can't wait. Thank you.
All right, thank you.